mean, I personally don't mind it at all. I'll eat it. But definitely I remember for most people who are not from Japan, when they tried natto, it wasn't a pleasant experience. Konbanwa minasan. Kyo desu. In today's video, I'll be discussing 5 Japanese foods that may seem a little bit gross or may come off as gross to Americans. And as for me, I would like to try everything on this list because I'm just that adventurous as a person. But being in American culture and knowing what foods that we typically do not eat or foods that may be disgusting to us, I guess for most people in the West, some of these foods will be like a big no-no. And of course it happens in every culture, society. There's certain things that other cultures or countries do that we might not like or may not try as far as foods are concerned. But either way, I figured I'd just talk about some of the foods that I found interesting that I would try, but probably most Americans wouldn't. Number 1, natto or fermented soybeans. Natto has a reputation for being very disgusting in the West. It's very bitter and it's very slimy and its texture is very like Definitely, it's an acquired taste for most Americans, especially because we live in a culture that prioritizes tasting and not necessarily health, as a lot of our foods are overly fatty, overly salty, overly sugary. Something healthy like natto is gonna come across as very disgusting to most Westerners. I mean, I personally don't mind it at all. I'll eat it. But definitely, I remember for most people who are not from Japan, when they tried natto, it wasn't a pleasant experience. However, I like it, and Edita-san loves it. He loves it. Number 2, raw chicken. It's a particular food that's made in the Kagoshima region in Japan. Also, it's in the Kyushu region, and it's made in a particular way so that the food isn't contaminated and that 95.5% of the time, it's safe to eat. In the West, we have a particular view of raw chicken. Raw chicken is always bad because raw chicken contains viruses like salmonella and other things that make the body sick. And I've definitely gotten sick before from eating uncooked chicken. And already from some type of people, especially Black Americans, we don't like eating raw anything. So I can see this potentially being a turnoff for most Americans because we're not used to eating raw food. But I see in order to consume raw food, you have to prepare it in a particular way. So I would definitely like to try it because I'm open to new things. And I think most people should try things that's out of their comfort zone. But seeing as there's a particular way this is made and it's pretty much cleaned carefully, I would pretty much try it because I love sushi and sushi is raw. So I'm definitely looking forward to eating raw chicken from this prefecture. Number 3, fugu or pufferfish. This is a very famous poisonous fish. And it's crazy how I remember some people have told me like the Japanese have a way of trying to eat anything that they set their minds to. And for most people, no one would want to try to eat a poisonous fish. But because the Japanese are brilliant people, they've made a way to consume and enjoy a poisonous fish. And I would love to try it, of course, because I'm just that kind of person again. But similar to the raw chicken, because it's raw food, most Americans probably would be, I'm not trying it. Especially since it's a poisonous fish, and most Americans are kind of paranoid for what they eat, even though we tend to eat a lot of junk, which kind of doesn't really make any sense. I guess anything out of our comfort zone is something that we don't like. And I can definitely say for Black Americans, this is not a food that most would try to like because Black Americans typically do not like raw food whatsoever. Number 4, sea cucumber. It's a slimy creature part of the anemone family that spits its guts out when it's running away. I can't deny the first time that I saw this creature, I wanted to puke. It just looks so weird and so otherworldly, looks like an alien. But somehow, some way, the Japanese have found a way to consume it. It's definitely something I would want to try because I did try octopus and I loved octopus takoyaki. Delicious. So of course I would be open to trying this as well. However, I can guarantee this is probably the least likely candidate on this list for Americans or Westerners to try. Just seeing how unsettling the sea cucumber looks. Hey, but if it's oishi, it's oishi. And last but not least, number 5, raw eggs. The general consensus in US is that raw eggs are not good for you. And I would say generally raw eggs in Japan are definitely a lot more healthier. Because for the most part, Japan doesn't have a greed-filled, corrupt food industry. As most of our eggs in the West are factory made and have a lot of added stuff to make it last longer, which is not really good for the human body. And even just looking at comparisons, the Japanese egg looks a lot more nutritious and just looks more real compared to eggs made in the USA. However, for people who are into fitness and bodybuilding, they tend to eat raw eggs, so there's that. But like I said, most things that are raw, most Americans wouldn't eat, especially Black Americans. Now, I for one have tried raw eggs before, and I don't mind it at all. I've actually had raw eggs with my ramen. So personally, of course, I wouldn't mind eating another dish that involves having a raw egg in it. But I guess that just goes to show how differently people think from different countries and societies. But of course, history, geography, and things like that affect how people live and how people perceive certain things. And seeing as Japan lives in a specific location, of course, a majority of their diet is seafood, or, some of the things that have been mentioned on this list. In American geography, we have a lot more meat and a lot more different kind of resources, if that makes any sense. So it makes sense how we would view food compared to the Japanese. Raw eggs are really healthy. I just think how raw eggs are made in the US, or at least how our industry promotes them or how our industry makes them, I can see why some people will be turned off to eating raw eggs. So that's the 5 things that I think Americans would not like from Japan, or would find gross from Japan. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please smash the like button, smash the subscribe button. Also hit that bell as well to get notified whenever we post a video. ありがとうございます。みんな気をつけて。じゃあね。